What it is, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Third Intermission Podcast. You got your boy Dave and your boy Troy here. First things first, as always, no games, no gimmicks, just getting it done and just whining about hockey. So that's what it is here. We're just getting ready just to, just talk some puck and just have a good time doing it. Of course, you can follow us on the socials at Toronto Third, both on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can watch us on YouTube. And you can also subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from. That's including Google, Apple, Spotify, and our friends over at Podbean. Like I said, I got Father Troy in the building. Father Troy, Wagwan.
Well, on, boss man. Everything's all right on this end over here. Just finished, another Sunday at work. Now I'm just at home. It's almost bedtime for the picnic them. Um, Otherwise, I had a pretty good week. A busy week with lots of putting away lots of stock and dealing with the public and how unruly and no brought up to being shown. But other other than that, things are good on my end. How about you? I heard you had a birthday recently, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and that's kind of the reason why I wasn't at the unveiling of our faces last week, folks. Yes, I did turn 38. Um, Unfortunately, I did not get a fresh cut like I was supposed to, so that's why the Leafs hat is on, and that's why the glasses are on because, I gotta go Clark Kent this week. So
It's all good. How was your birthday? Happy birthday, by the way.
appreciate you, thank you. Birthday was blessed, spent it in the six. Just enjoyed things. Had had a great time with the new girlfriend and with the best friends. Obviously it was a great evening and everything. Unfortunately, getting woken up to two people smashing while next door to your Airbnb is one of the most messed up things in the world because it's like,
Oh no, that's terrible. Did you bang on the wall?
nah, I just let them finish it out, man. I was just like, yo, you know what, whatever. I'm just going back to sleep. It's probably not doesn't sound that great anyway, but yo, in Toronto of
I'm
all
glad you had
places,
a.
man, like how does this happen? Like, like you're minding your own business, catching a sleep pause after just going out, getting drunk for your birthday for like the first time in what seems like ages, and then next thing you know, you hear someone basically catching the bacas in the next room over, and it's just like, uh,
No, that's definitely one of a stranger way of being woken up for sure. Yeah, I have yet to meet a person who legitimately enjoys being woken up by that sound. But in real life, that doesn't happen. Nobody enjoys that.
no, 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 they don't. All right. Well, I mean, it was still a great birthday nonetheless. I mean, it would have been nice if the Blue Jays had given me an early birthday present with a World Series, but you know what? We move on. At least the Raptors are giving me some early birthday presents in slapping man's left, right, and center. So, that's a great thing.
Yes,
Unfortunately, though,
up for the Raptors.
we have to talk about their cousins in the same building and talk about the Leaf done right now. And of course, that's one of the things we actually want to talk about on tonight's show. We're also going to discuss a little bit of nonsense going on in the OHL. Second, I guess the second, if not the third incident in a week, more or less. We're also talking about seeing if Berube is on the hot seat given the Leafs' current start right now. And then, of course, in massive stupidness news, Jack Hughes, of course, trying to cut up his fingers and basically getting himself on the IR for the next 2 months. Of course, this is some WPS, but we will talk about that and end that off in the show. So, and folks, if you know what WPS is, then like, just don't report the video. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. Anyways, let's get this going. Of course, over the past week, the Leafs have been taking some very terrible losses. Of course, most recently against the Blackhawks on Saturday night when the Leafs had a 2-1 lead and then let that evaporate in the third period in Chicago, and Leafs went down 3-2. Of course, Leafs also lost to Boston earlier in the week by a score of 5-3. And then finally, it's just been as I hear some crazy ass horn just outside my window, somebody playing La Cucaracha out there. The man's out there being wild. But and then of course that's crazy. And then of course the Leafs squandering an opportunity to take a win against Los Angeles and blowing it in overtime. You really kind of start to wonder, like, the Leafs are now 8-9-2 in 19 games, and we're approaching I guess the quarter mark of the season. Like, Troy, you gotta help me out here. What's going on here? Like, it's been three straight losses. It's been three straight losses this week. They've lost five straight games, including the game on my birthday. And you're just like, what's going on here?
So I think it's just them. They need to play simple, smarter hockey. Um, you know, pretend it's playoff hockey. Pretend that every game means something. You know, I did get to watch the Monday game last week against Pittsburgh, my first full game I've been able to watch this season, and they just seem absolutely lifeless in the first 40 minutes. Like they looked like a men's league E division team playing against pros. Like it looked like there was just no genuine interest in playing any kind of hockey at all for the first 40 minutes. I
Mm-hmm.
would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in the dressing room just to hear Berube tear some paint off the walls with some colorful language. Um, I think the scoring needs to be more balanced. Like right now, it's the usual suspects taking charge with the lead. There's three guys who have 20 plus points: Nylander, Tavares, and Nyes. Everybody else is swimming around, single digit 10-point mark. Only Tavares and Nylander are in the top 10 of any kind of scoring. So that it needs to kind of balance itself out. Um, Craig Berube and Anthony Flores have touched on this many times already this season, where they're getting lost defensively. They're allowing too many shots. There's too many bodies getting freely to the net. The Leafs' average defenseman height, like the height of the average of their defenseman, is 6'2". Their two tallest guys is Philip Myers and Brandon Carlo. They're both 6'5". The shortest guy is Troy Stetzer, who we just cleaned off waivers from the Oilers. I know 6'2" isn't overly big, especially in today's NHL, but I mean, play to your size. Hit somebody. Like if they have the puck and you don't, separate them from it and take it from them. For a team supposedly built for continued success, they're doing the exact opposite of that.
Completely
Um,
agree.
as I said earlier, like there just doesn't seem to be a high level of competitiveness right out of the gate. Um, like they they need to understand or remember that an NHL regulation game is 60 minutes.
Not 20,
They
not 40.
seem to only they seem to only remember that when there's 5 to 10 minutes left and they're down by one because they've blown a multi-goal lead. That's the only time where you ever really see any sense of compete from them, and that's unacceptable. Like I'm sure the coaches have said this time and again, but no, you have to be prepared to play a full 60-minute game every time you lace up those skates to go out there and play. Um, it's nice to see Joseph Wallback. Obviously, he didn't do he didn't fare as well as we'd like, but it's his first game back this season, so you can't really fault him for that. You know, um, are they?
On the defense on that
I
one, at
don't.
least.
Yeah, for sure. Like I caught the last couple of minutes of the Chicago game, but it wasn't really enough to really comment on. Um, yeah, they. I don't want to say that like the lack of scoring is because Marner's gone, but I kind of feel like maybe it is, and they're just trying too hard to find a replacement, but they just don't have somebody at that necessary skill level to do the things that Marner had done for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's November right now. We sit seventh in the Atlantic, 15 in the conference, and a very strange place at 27th overall out of 32 teams. I don't know if you knew that. Um, we need to start scoring more goals than we let in. Right now, we're -5. We've scored 67 goals and we've allowed 75. Um,
That's not great.
power play, our power play stinks. 16% for 26. Um, penalty killing. I mean, when you look at 78.9%, you think that's a pretty good number. But then when you base on where that falls amongst the 32 teams, that puts them 19th. So there's still some work to do there. I mean,
Hmm.
you're not going to get perfection all the time, but it almost seems like they need to do better there. Also, again, going on the defensive end, they allow almost 4 goals per game, 3.79, which ranks them 31st out of 32 teams. That is just awful for a team of this caliber.
That's abysmal, especially given the fact that it's like we have, and like you mentioned, we have a very tall and a very strong defense core, and yet still we're letting in goals like a sieve. I kind of mentioned this on Twitter the other night. Like the bleeding is really starting to intensify here because it's like you've had winnable games against Boston, you've had winnable games against LA. In fact, like you were up like what, 3-0, or was it 3-1 on no, you were up 2-0 on Los Angeles in the first period. And
Yeah,
then they managed to storm back. You take the lead and then you blow it again, only to lose in overtime by our brother in arms, Quinton Byfield. And then you
yeah,
go into Chicago, you're up like what, 2-1 in one of the most raucous places in all of the National Hockey League in Chicago. And then you let Chicago come back and basically slap you like 3-2. Like at this rate, it's
yeah.
like I understand that it's early, but if I'm a Leafs fan right now, which I am, I'd start getting a little worried because it's like there's been a significant number of changes over the last few years. We've gone through
Yeah.
two, if not three coaches at this point. We've gone through two general managers. We lost the president, and then basically that presidency is gone now. We had a core five, and we've flipped through so many players. We've had former captains, we've had former all stars, we've had great goaltenders, we've had up and coming goaltenders, we've had guys who are basically on the twilight of their career basically find a new gear and have a resurgence in Toronto. And it's like at this rate, it's like what needs to be fixed because it's not the coaching anymore, it's not the management anymore, and it's not the front office anymore. It's got to be the player. You got to hold the players accountable. And it's just like you see with you saw with the Jays, like the Jays were playing for each other, and they had this camaraderie and mentality where it's like we're playing for the other guy who's right next to us. 27 man or like 50 man roster deep. These guys were just like playing next man up mentality, and you know through quote unquote the power of friendship, they were literally what two outs away from giving Toronto its third World Series. Look at the Raptors right now. The Raptors are 7-1 in their last 8 games. They've been slapping teams left, right, and center. Now, of course, some of those teams aren't that great. With Brooklyn being terrible and the Pacers being massively crippled to the point where it's Pascal Siakam, Andrew Naismith, and a bunch of G leaguers. But still, like the Raptors are coming out and slapping bare teams. They even slapped Cleveland the other day, and Cleveland's a
And
really
Milwaukee.
strong team. Sorry, what?
Yeah, they even they dealt with Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's got Giannis. Giannis is hard to stop.
Exactly.
And the game against the Spurs, I mean, like they were in that game. I mean, it's hard to contain Wemby, who's he's
He's a freak
a
at this.
taller Kevin. He's the taller Kevin Durant.
Exactly. Without the ashy skin. But like this Leafs team, I don't know what's going on right now because like it's like these guys are so stuck in their ways. It's like yo, wagwan here. Like, what are we doing here? You can't have bare Toronto teams thrive at the same time. Like Avery can attest for this when he like when this episode drops. But like I was working in the Northern Super League final on Saturday, and so was he. And we watched Toronto catch an L. They were up 1-0, and they basically got brushed aside by Vancouver 2-1. Like, let me put it like this: if I'm a Toronto fan right now, I feel sick because I do not want my city to catch L's. I don't want the Leafs to catch L's. As I'm wearing a Leafs hat right now, it's probably gonna get us a copyright strike at some point, but who cares? Um, I'm kind of tired of seeing. And don't get me wrong, I love the Jays, I love the Raptors, I love the Raptors. AFC Toronto, like I mean, I haven't really seen them play, but whatever. I would like to see all our Toronto teams thrive at the same time, rather than just be like, oh, we're gonna have a good season, and then and somebody else is playing well. It's like, oh, okay, well, they can basically cover for our losses in this situation. And I think that's what the Leafs are doing right now. Because we all saw during the playoff run, like every single Toronto team was basically riding on the coattails of the Jays. But at least there was some camaraderie there. The Raptors have picked up on it. Why haven't the Leafs done it? What is going on here in this locker room? Like, are we really out here looking at this whole situation like, yo, like I make millions of dollars, you make $100,000 on the up and up, and I'm 10 times better than you. Like, yo, Niger Beak. Like, I don't need that at Scotiabank Arena. There's already enough stress as it is. And if I'm a hockey fan, it's like, yo, I'm not shelling out like say 400, 500 bones.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. There's a lack of camaraderie amongst the team. I feel like there's also confusion and possibly a lack of confidence in one another. I think just from my experience playing in men's league, I know the morale changes in the change room when you know that your top guys aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of changes your mindset a little bit and like your mood in terms of how you approach the game when it's your turn for your shift. Um, I know that there are some guys on the team where we're just like whatever, just go for 30, 45 seconds and hope something good happens or hope we don't get shelled while I'm out there. Versus when the top guys are out there and are making things happen, the bench is lively. We're talking, we're communicating with each other. We're talking amongst ourselves on the bench about what to do on the next play, or we're talking to our teammates on the ice because we're actually paying attention into what's going on, and we actually care to kind of you know do well for each other because all of us are there. Like all the top guys are there. That the bits and pieces that fill out the rest of the team that makes this team go. I think maybe that's entirely what's happening in the change room. I mean, obviously Austin Matthews and Anthony Stolarz just went on the IR for a little bit, but I mean, like, who knows? Maybe because Joseph Wall wasn't there for so long, maybe he's the glue that
I
they
hope
were
so.
missing.
I genuinely
I
hope so.
mean, and not
Like,
and and I've said on previous episodes before too, like this team is like Jekyll and Hyde. They play different based on who's in net behind them. I think you give Wall some games, especially with Stolarz hurt and Hill to be still more or less a question mark. I think you give Wall some games. I think you see that team morale change. I think you see the team tighten up a little better, and they learn to figure out how to work with each other based on what they have until more money frees up. Because with that David Camp thing, it frees up some money, but not necessarily enough to make an impact move. Plus, we don't have any damn draft picks.
we actually don't have any draft picks going to the 27 draft, do we? Or the 26 draft?
I I don't think so. No.
Okay. I'm gonna do a bit of research on this real quick. But no, you are right. Like, I feel like at this rate, you have to wonder what's going on here. Because like maybe Joseph Wall coming back into things could help. But at the same genuine point in time right now, this is this is kind of this is kind of messy. It's starting to get messy at this point, and you really have to sit and wonder, like, are we going to go see some trades at some point or another? Are we going to lose out on a couple players? Like, what I don't know what's happening at this point because it's I know it's not time to hit the panic button just yet, but I would feel
No, but
genuinely
it's time to start
concerned.
reaching for it.
Yeah,
I think it's time to start reaching for it. It's not time to hit it yet, but like you want to you're inching closer to tapping that button.
yeah. I mean, you don't want to be bugging out right now, but like it's starting to get hairy in the situation. So, I mean, Toronto really has to find a way to get themselves together because their schedule over the next few days, or let me rephrase that, over the course of the week, obviously we're going to drop this episode on Wednesday, but over the course of the week, the Leafs really have to find a way to get themselves together because Tuesday we got St. Louis. Thursday we have Columbus. Saturday we're in Montreal. Like this is going to be I guess a nice litmus test for the Leafs as you go through the quarter point of the season and try and figure out like okay, are we really going to be a contender or are we just going to be a pretender? And we've been slated to actually get somewhere in these playoffs this year. But again, that happens every year. And I think it's kind of high time that it's like, we either figure something out.
Really good on that.
Exactly. So I hope the Leafs can turn the ship around and maybe find a way to get somewhere. But like at this rate right now, it's not looking good. I mean, you just got a good goaltender back. You lost another one. You had to cut a player because he didn't want to report to the minors. And you have lost five straight games. Again, and three, if not four of them, were winnable games. I don't know right now, but like this is kind of getting concerning. So you never
Well,
know.
let's just keep speaking positive things into the universe. Hopefully, like you said, this week's going to be a big test for them. Um, you know, as long as we stay positive and speak things into existence, and as long as they are too,
Hmm.
you know, things will hopefully fall into place, and things will finally start to be on a roll, and then we won't have to have these what if conversations anymore in terms of why they're underperforming. Instead, the next thing should be like, how do we, like how do we match up against top teams and start thinking about playoff matchups instead of, you know, can we make a wild card spot?
Exactly. And I think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered going forward. So obviously, going into say the tail end of November, heading into December before the Christmas break, I feel like this team really needs to, I guess, for lack of better terminology, find another gear and get themselves back into the fast lane here because they're not playing and they're not gelling as well as we would have liked them to. But I mean, of course, as we're shifting gears ourselves here, we know that Craig doesn't have to worry about his job, but there are a number of people out there who feel like, you know what, he is partially responsible. Yes, you can coach a team somewhere, but like at this rate, if the coach is trying to do the best that he can and the players on the ice are just not performing very well, you really have to beg the question here. Is the coach responsible for the mess, or say, is it just the players at this point? Because they're like, you don't want to have a rotating carousel of, say, great coaches that have come into the Maple Leafs organization, tried to do what they tried to execute what they could execute, and the players aren't just performing.
I think far too often. Sorry, my son's moving stuff and dropping. I think far too often coaches are the scapegoat for an underperforming team. Um, I, it's to a fault where only so much the coaching can do. Um, I don't know if it's how messages are being delivered that makes the team tune out. I don't think Berube's lost the room. I still think he's one of the more respected and revered coaches that are left of the older variety. Um, and you know what they say, sometimes because you can't necessarily fire the players, you fire the coach. But if you put Berube on the hot seat, who do you have to replace him? Like you,
You don't.
I think, I think you would immediately have to take Tortorella's name off the list, especially because of how he got dismissed last year. Like him saying like he doesn't want to be part of like a youth movement or anything like that. Like that doesn't inspire confidence in your team at all. I
No.
mean, granted, Philadelphia didn't exactly meet expectations like, their city demanded of them as well. But I mean, to go publicly and basically say this team is trash, and especially with the kind of history that follows Tortorella, he is not a good fit in Toronto. Um, I think you would almost certainly have to go off the board
Hmm.
and pick somebody you've never heard of. But even then, at this rate, based on the players that you currently have, is going off the board and getting a guy with no NHL experience the best idea?
Well, I
Probably not.
mean, we did that with Sheldon Keefe, and look what ended up happening. Keefe was the one who actively got us like a second round appearance before Berube came in and did the exact same thing. I feel like if we
I
had
mean,
like I don't know, maybe if Jason Payne even comes in and next thing you know, we end up making a Stanley Cup final with him on the helm. You know, that could be a little crazy in itself. But I don't feel that Berube should be on the hot seat, and he doesn't deserve to be on the hot seat, especially given the fact that it's like, again, he's had the system to put things in place. And look at what ended up happening last year. Like, we were basically a few minutes, like one good shot away from having a 3-0 lead on the defending Stanley Cup champions. Then on top of that, like we had a chance to actively beat Florida. It's just again, everyone just fell flat at that point. And now it's the hangover still lingering for the Leafs. Like, again, eight,
I
nine,
mean,
and two in their last 19 games. Of course, it'll be 21 by the time this record, or no, it'll be 20 by the time this recording drops. But Toronto has to
I
find a way. And it's like I don't think Berube is the answer or firing Berube is the answer to the problem.
anybody. I don't think firing Berube is the answer because I mean, you also have to think of the construct of this roster.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't want to insult these guys, but I mean, because like they're in the pros, and I I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, like on paper, this looks like one of those 2K rosters
Hmm.
almost. I mean, like some of these guys are no names, but like it has it on paper. Like I apologize. I don't mean to offend anybody, but it really does look like a 2K roster when you're just starting out and you've got to reconstruct your team how you want it.
Be
Obviously the
like, who's
Leafs.
this guy or who's this guy or where did this guy come
Yeah,
from? Type of thing.
it, exactly. Yeah, and I mean like we were handcuffed because of the salary cap
Hmm.
and the amount of money that some guys are making. It really handcuffs us. So I mean like there's only so much you can do. You have to find the best players available that will keep you under the salary cap, but also meets the needs of what you're trying to do with your roster. Um, honestly, I think if we were able to get another bona fide top six person,
Hmm.
like we said, like we said in the last segment, like this conversation is different.
I fully agree with that. And you know what? Toronto does have the capability of getting themselves out of this situation. It's only just a matter of how they figure it out. Um, Trying to find the best player available is like trying to find a needle in a haystack, and you don't have a magnet, right? Because it may look the same, it may shine the same in the light, but one will actually prick you and make you bleed, and the other one just will just prick you. So unfortunately, I think that's kind of what the Leafs are trying to figure out in this situation is like, where is that needle in the haystack? And why do I not have a strong enough magnet to pull that out right now? Simple. If you're $300,000 over the salary cap and you don't want to pay like luxury taxes or like I don't even know if the NHL has like mid-level exceptions or what have you. But again, in this particular situation, if you are not performing the way you're supposed to be performing, like I'm sorry, but a change of scenery might have to be the best option here. And then we can just fully rebuild from where we are. Because like again, it's been 9 straight years where we've actually made the playoffs. Could it be 10? You never know.
It's the longest active streak, no?
Yeah. So I would like this again. I would like to see this team turn it around, and maybe come Christmas, maybe come the All Star break, this team figures out what they're supposed to do. Or sorry, not the All Star break, the Olympic break. So who
Oh
knows?
yeah.
But I mean, going from one set of foolishness to the next, I take it you've seen that I guess that match penalty in Ottawa, or sorry, not Ottawa, with that Brampton forward recently, correct?
Oh, we're going that one. Sorry, I thought we were doing Jack Hughes, but yes,
No, we're
this
gonna
set
end
of
off on
foolishness.
Jack Hughes.
Okay, yes, yeah, I saw that, and immediately I was I was saying a bunch of things that I can't say because YouTube, and we're not trying to get stricken or nothing on the second episode on YouTube. So
Yeah.
use your imagination. Immediately, I thought of the Marty McSorley Donald Brashear incident from 2000,
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter which angle you look at it from. Like that was a bad choice to turn around and baseball swing at it. I mean, he he got stuck between a rock and a hard place. Really, like
Yeah.
he got sandwiched in the end, like behind the net, and then basically he just turned around and found the closest dude, which happens to be the guy who got him from behind. But
Hmm.
when you look at it, to me at least, you couldn't even really call that a hit from behind. I guess just because he felt the contact from behind is probably what really set him off, because I guess he never saw that other dude coming.
Hmm.
But for that to be your immediate reaction, to turn around and whack him in the head, you need to have several, several, several seats, young man. I've been seeing online where people are saying it's minimum 15 games. No,
Some are calling
minimum the rest
for
of the season. The rest of the season.
like some are calling this a career killing incident. I mean, it's similar to that Steve Downey hit when from that Lightning Senators
That
preseason game.
dude,
Yeah.
when he steamrolled Homie from behind the net. Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty much a career killing incident at that rate, you know? Like you don't recover from things like that. What's gonna happen to this kid from Oshawa now? It's like homeboy, like hopefully homeboy's all right, but like I mean, what was his name again? Brady Blaseg and or Blaseg. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, but I saw that, and I saw that full incident, and I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. That is not okay. That is genuinely not okay. Like, I understand you're pissed off that he quote unquote hit you, but a baseball swing with a hockey stick, like in say certain legal contexts, that's considered attempted murder. If you're trying to slash off a kid's head, you as a kid, you're trying to slash off another kid's head with a hockey stick. I'm sorry, that's attempted murder at that point, at least in my eyes. Now the OHL is gonna have a field day in regards to like say disciplinary action. Like obviously, if you're part of the disciplinary committee with the CHL and you're looking at this whole situation, what's your punishment on this one? Like, you're giving half a season, you're giving a full season plus a fine. Like, what would be going through your head at that moment?
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what they're thinking about right now because the update on that is that he's been suspended indefinitely upon league review. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that they're weighing those exact things over. Um, Again, things they would have to take into consideration is the nature of the hit that would provoke him to do that. You try to figure out. You're gonna have a sit down with him and find out what was going through his head because you, who does that? What like
That's
you know?
premeditated by the looks of it at that point. I mean, again, like if you watch that whole thing, like, oh yeah, this kid hit me, so I'm going to, basically take a potentially paralyze him from the waist down or from the neck down because I was that angry. Like, no normal person does that.
Yeah, like, and I, I've I've never heard of you know somebody going to such extreme since the Marty McFlurry thing. I mean, like the Marty McFlurry thing was bad. The Todd
Hmm.
Bertuzzi stalking Steve Moore thing was bad. And like you you see things here and there where somebody gets run from behind or like somebody gets jumped or something like that, but like you never expect to see somebody get smacked in the face on purpose with the heavy handedness that guy displayed. Like I'm ashamed, and I wonder what his parents feel like too because this is a teenager. So I mean, like even though we all know his name, if that other
And
young
not
man
legitimate
decides,
either.
I don't know if he's going to be protected by the Young Offenders Act because it's so public.
Hmm.
And like Marty McSorley, he got charged with assault with a deadly weapon when he did his thing with Donald Brashear.
Didn't
And
Todd Tuesday basically catch a criminal charge on Steve Moore as well?
I believe he did, yes. And with this situation, that was like, as the other child's parents, it's like, do you press charges? Like, are you of the mindset of, am I potentially ruining the rest of this young man's life because of what he did to my son? You got to weigh that option. It's like, do I do it? Do I not do it? I feel like, and as a parent myself, and thankfully none of my kids are in any kind of sports like this right now. But even as a parent, like it makes me wonder. Like what would I do in that situation?
I don't even
Like,
have kids myself, and it's just like I'm even asking myself that question. It's like you're trying to like basically kill a kid on the ice. You're basically trying to unalive a kid on the ice. Like, yo, but like
yeah, like if I'm that kid's parent, like what's his name again? How do you pronounce his last name?
uh
Um,
Dragusica.
Zagusica, yes. If I'm his parents, I am I'm livid. I'm beyond livid. I don't know if he's say with like a ballet family or anything like that.
Hmm.
But let's say he's not, and he's at home with his parents and siblings and things like that. I'm absolutely livid that you decided to do that because there just can't be any possible way that this is how his parents raised him. I highly doubt it. whatever kind of aggression, built up aggression or hidden aggression that he has needs
Hmm.
to be addressed.
Of course.
Because let's say in the off chance he does get to play hockey again. Who's to say that the next time somebody just randomly gets under his skin like that, who knows what he's going to do? Like he may try to spear somebody, like blade first, right in the gut. He may try to choke you out with a stick. Who knows? He, eh, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, like again, like as a parent, I am shocked, appalled, stunned, disgusted. And I mean, like, I know sometimes in men league games where things can get tippy, and you got guys wanting to fight each other, but at the end of the day, it's just like, you know what, like tomorrow's another day. Like,
Hmm.
forget about it. But something like this, you can't easily forget about. Not when you go to such extremes because you didn't like being hit. I don't like being hit either. Nobody likes
Yeah,
being hit. But
for real.
yeah, like I if I'm the league, if I'm the OHL, I'm sorry, but like he's got to hang him up. You're done. I
You got to set a
It's not
precedent
only
at
for
that
the
point because it's
season.
like at that rate, it's like if it's warranting, say, potential criminal charges, you're never playing, you're never touching a pair of skates and a hockey stick ever again. You're never touching a puck ever again after that. And it's like if I'm the OHL in the Canadian Hockey League, I'd make sure that like say you have to put the hammer down on this situation. Because if you don't and you just let them off with like say a season or half a season, you really have to look at
You're
yourself
opening
and
the
say like,
door.
right? Or maybe even less than that. Like you really have to look at yourself and say like, hey, we allowed a player who potentially nearly unalived a kid and we let him play, even though he was pissed off that he got hit behind the net, and like my team's down 3-0 with about 3 minutes left in the game. Like it's one thing to be pissed off and say like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna start a fight with another player just to get my team's morale up. Be like, okay, it's kind of an L at this point. Let me try and get a W somehow, and do something crazy like that. I mean, in that situation, it's frowned upon at least in my mind, but I'm okay with it. Whereas, like, say I'm pissed off, I'm getting basically outmanned, outgunned, and outplayed. Again, I'm not gonna go out of my way to like smoke my opponent in the head with a hockey stick and say like it's nothing. And then like after watching the video, homeboy gets cross-checked right after. And
Yeah,
Brady's
it's
on the
another
ice
brutal
bleeding.
hit.
Like it's not
Yeah, like
even sorry, go ahead.
he absolutely needs to be banned from ever. Like, I'm sorry, like his career's got to end. I mean,
Hmm.
like you said, like he's got to be banned from ever owning a pair of skates, a hockey stick, things of that nature. I mean, I worked with a kid who, like when I used to work for City of Brampton, I worked with a guy who was not allowed to have elastic bands because of some random ish that he did. Like he got charged on all
Rubber
kinds of
bands?
things, and yeah, he
Who is
wasn't
he?
allowed to be
TI?
in
Like the
possession
rubber
of rubber
band
bands.
man? Wild as a Taliban? Nine in my right, 45 in my left. Like, that's kind of wild. I'm sorry. Like,
If you can get banned from rubber bands, you can get banned from hockey sticks and pucks.
that's crazy.
I don't know how you enforce that in either scenario, but yeah, like a message absolutely needs to be sent. Otherwise, you're leaving the door open for more things to happen, and then you're really stuck with trying to figure out how to set that precedent.
Exactly. If you do not put the hammer down now, you leave yourself open for many terrible things down the road. So I hope the OHL makes a smart decision here. and figures out where they go from here. Um, but
Do
ideal
not
is
reference the Department. Do not reference the Department of Player Safety from the NHL. They will lead you astray.
listen, the Department of Player Stupidity does not need to get involved in this case. I mean, there's stupidity, and then there's Jack Hughes stupidity, and I think we're gonna end off the episode on this one. But like, why would you go out of your way to try and play knife games at a dinner, cut yourself a glass, and then take yourself out for 6 to 8 weeks, knowing that you are one of the best players on your team?
So allegedly, just so we don't get in any kind of trouble here,
Mm.
allegedly. Um, so that was what was first reported. At first, I thought it was a joke thing,
We all did.
where the thing with his hands, either the 1, 2, 3, 4, with it, whatever. I thought it was a joke thing, but then I saw more and more people kind of roll with it. And then the Devils, they released a statement saying that he was leaning on some glass and it broke. So that's the official story that they're telling us. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. In either instance, what are you doing to make you do that? What kind of glass was he leaning on where he had no plausible idea that say, hey, this is going to give out with extreme pressure.
I
If it's
feel like
the scissor with the knife thing, the scissor with the finger things, or the knife with the finger things, whatever it is. If that's the actual truth, you're an idiot. What
yeah,
are you
yeah,
doing?
plain and simple. Like to answer your question, what type of glass would give out like after like after a situation like that? I mean, a long stemmed wine glass would probably do it because like a lot of injuries do happen to come from glasses like that. You can also get injured from a highball glass, right? Because it's like no, or sorry, not a highball glass, a rocks glass, right? Because like say, depending on the maker, it's like most things will shatter and slice your hand open. And I've known that from like
So,
say bare experience working in kitchens.
same here. I've had my fair share of working in kitchens and stuff too. But riddle me this: let's say it is a glass that you drink from.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you leaning on it? Like when the team statement said that he was leaning on glass, I'm immediately thinking of like a barricade or something, where like some kind of divider, where like he's leaning on that and it gives and the glass shatters and he falls and he cuts his hand. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking, or maybe that's what they want us to think and play out in our heads. That
Mm-hmm.
way it isn't the finger thing. But let's say it isn't that, and let's say you're right. He's drinking on some kind of glassware. Why? What? Who? What kind of bet were you trying to? Because you know that ain't no. That's not no normal thing. Somebody must have bet him to do something stupid and was like, "Yo, I bet I can do this," and then poof, something messed up in his hand. And now look at him, laid up and stupid, looking like a fool.
Hey, man. I mean, people do stupid things. I mean, again, nobody's perfect in this situation.
He's
You can
been
you can
stupid
be
private.
you can be the smartest man in the world and still do a stupid thing. You can be the strongest man in the world and you can do the weakest. You can do the stupidest thing. You can be fast at what you do and good at what you do. There's always one screw up that'll mess you up, and like it'll put you in a world of a different situation. And I think that's what Jack Hughes had to go through here. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't seem to think that actions have consequences. Plain and simple.
Those who don't learn must feel.
Dead ass. Like I hate the fact that hockey players don't have Caribbean parents because it's like no, it's true. They don't have Caribbean parents to literally tell them like, yo, what's what in this situation? Like you're out here saying like, don't play upon the glass, and then you hear your dad come out of stop playing with the blood clot glass. It's like case in point, It'd be like, okay, make sure you shoot it at the net, right? Or no, say, oh man, I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid to actually be a hockey parent or to see a Caribbean dad or a Caribbean mom as a hockey parent, because we already know how tough it is. That we already know how tough it is with Caribbean parents, right? They'll come cuss at you for anything, and you should know this. You're a Caribbean parent too.
Yes.
So I mean, again, if you're teaching your kids math and it's just like, if Johnny has five apples and I take away two, and your kid says, I don't know, and you start cussing and yelling, saying, if Johnny have two black apples, take it away from five, I want a bomba clot you have.
Yeah.
Kids don't have that
Oh, sorry.
experience.
No, they're brought up way different. They've got all this new math and things like that, but yeah, like they didn't grow up with the same guidance we did. To learn right from wrong. Like don't if it looks like a stupid idea, don't do
It
it.
is a stupid idea.
Especially whenever you get asked, if little Johnny jump off a cliff, would you jump too? The right answer is always no.
Well, hold
But
on.
these
Wait, wait,
guys
wait, wait,
aren't
wait. I'm
being
gonna throw a
smart.
wrench in that right now. I'm gonna throw a wrench in that right now. If you're about to get hit by a car and Johnny jumps off a bridge, you'd have to jump off too, just to save yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if the scenario calls for it, yes, jump off the bridge. But if you're just
Okay,
doing
so then
it,
that question's flawed. You know that, right?
yes, but you have to be specific in the wording of that question for it not to be flawed. But our Caribbean parents, they just straight up pose it. If Johnny jump off a bridge, what are you doing?
Be like, listen, if I have to save my own life, I'm jumping off that bridge with him. I'm back flipping off that bridge.
Yeah. And too, like they would never, they never pose that question unless they caught you already doing something stupid.
Right?
But
Going back to this
yeah,
whole
Jack,
situation though, just again, I feel like
are
Jack.
you smarter than a fifth grader?
Mhm. No, I still feel like Jack Hughes should have had a Caribbean nanny just to set him straight in this situation. Just saying. Just saying. Like I'm not one to advocate for white families to have a black nanny, but like in this particular situation, he needed an old Jamaican lady to just tell him to come cuss him stink while he's being a hockey player. It's like, you know,
Set him straight, set him right.
and I feel like most hockey players need that right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What a lot of people seem to think is that like, oh, I'm 18, I can do what I want. Yeah, you can, but you also have to remember those who can't hear shall feel, as we've been saying for like a good portion of this episode.
Speaking of not knowing any better and doing what you feel, to kind of close out the show here, just as a random question, with the rash of NBA players, former NBA players, or people tied to the NBA getting arrested for gambling in various ways, not counting the St. Pinto thing, because that, at least from what we're being told, wasn't him directly. Do you think that we're going to start seeing widespread NHL players start getting booked? Do you think that most of them have the wherewithal to not be caught up in this thing, despite the fact that gambling ads are literally everywhere?
I I kind of see it happening at this point. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when at this rate. And of course, the sports book and gambling world in professional sports now it's practically here to stay unless somebody does something otherwise to offset it. And eventually like hockey players are going to realize that they're not exempt from the same situation too. Um of course, we already got players being threatened by randos, because it's like, oh, you didn't score two goals. I lost out on $20,000. I'm gonna do something to your family and what have you. Like there are people out there who are that cheesed over the fact that they spent their rent money just to try and get a bigger payday. And you know what? That's kind of ridiculous at this point. Like a swift $5 is nothing, but if you're out here spending 500 bucks, 500 bucks just to try and
Putting
get
your
a
house up
27 leg parlay
for
that won't hit. That doesn't give you a right to
Yeah,
threaten
no,
athletes.
no, no. You absolutely need to get your affairs in order because you thinking that you've lost out on X amount of money because a specific person didn't get you this many points is ridiculous. Like, clearly you don't understand how the game of hockey works. It's a game of bounces and inches, and a whole lot of luck in between on top of the skill.
It's same with
So
every other sport. Like some players,
yeah,
some in basketball, it's like guys aren't going to hit shots. In baseball, like you're going to strike out a few times. In football, you're going to fumble if you can. You're going to fumble, or you're going to get tackled before you even get a good running start. That's just a sign of like teams playing, teams executing their plans very very well to the letter. And obviously, you're going to have the same thing in hockey where it's like, guys are going to get shut down and they're not going to get as many shots on goal. They're not going to score, or the goaltender's just really just standing on his head. You know, like imagine if you saw sports betting at minor league games, or even like say like kids hockey games. The implications on that would be outright like just drastic.
so there probably is, and like in like the kids minor leagues, I bet you there is. For sure, there, especially like the high level elite teams. Like, I'm sure there's probably a little action on the side that nobody knows about.
I mean, if it got in public, like, I mean, to like imagine being a 10-year-old and you're being threatened by some 50-year-old man because it's like, oh, you were supposed to be the next like Sidney Crosby or whatever, and you didn't score, and I put $50 on you to actually do that, and you would have gotten me $5,000. Like, I feel like at that rate, like that's kind of just going too far. Yes, it is. It does sound a little extreme, especially if you're listening to this, but it's like at the same point in time, it's like if we're heading down that path, I feel like at this rate, like this will get extremely ugly to the point where it's like sports books and betting and online betting might either need like a complete overhaul when it comes to regulations and whatnot, but also just the moral and ethical implications behind that, especially when it comes to like say kid sports. Obviously, this is just extreme hypothetical in the situation, but like if say that becomes a thing, I feel like it's descending us into a dark path, and obviously, you know, you don't want to see that.
There, for the listeners and the viewers, if you want a better idea of what we're talking about, there is a Simpsons and a Family Guy episode that covers exactly this, betting on betting on kids games. I don't remember. Well, we'll drop it on Twitter when I remember what it is. But there's a Family Guy episode where Chris is pitching for the high school baseball team, and Peter, Quagmire, Cleveland, and Joe, they all start betting on this game. And then once uh, Peter gets baited out that he's betting on the games, he needs Chris to throw the game just to show love. Oh, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And then Quagmire, Joe, and Cleveland go and break the kid's arm and screws everything up. And then the one from The Simpsons, I believe revolves around hockey. I think, yeah, I believe it's the one where Bart and Lisa join the hockey team, and there's a little side action with Homer, Wiggum, Moe, and a couple other people. But there's definitely a Simpsons and a Family Guy episode that covers that.
That
And
Simpsons episode
hopefully
was
that,
classic, by the way.
yes, hopefully those scenarios from those shows don't come to fruition because we know how both of those shows are extremely good when it comes to calling things in the future.
Mm. Before we end off this episode, real quick, was a shout out to the Saskatchewan Roughriders for winning the Grey Cup. Of course, Toronto was not in the final. We had a very abysmal season, but Montreal managed to go through the East Final, preventing Hamilton from actually doing anything. So sorry, Hamilton, but you're catching a bigger L than we are right now. What is that? 32 years now? They haven't won it. No, not 32. Um, it'll be 30 in like 3 years. It's 27
The
years
only
since they
thing
won the Grey Cup.
the only thing Hamilton has a bright spot for is the guy who stole the city bus. What do you mean he made all this stuff? Well, they kept freaking the bells.
I
But he
feel like
even
his
denied it,
sentence
man,
should have
because
been
his bus
commuted at
got
that point still.
expired. But he told the man to kick rocks because his bus pass expired. That is some foolishness.
On that note, folks, like I feel like his sentence should be commuted, and I think we're gonna end the episode on that. Uh, damn, that's crazy. Um, like I said, I really hope the Leafs figure it out. They got St. Louis, Columbus, and then they're in Montreal on Saturday. So hopefully the Leafs figure it out. The Scepters start back up next week, actually. I believe the season opener is on the 21st. And the Scepters, of course, playing a little preseason action. They won 3-2 earlier this evening. They start their season off on the 21st against the defending Walter Cup champions in Minnesota. So, you know, if you are a huge fan of the P-Dub like we are, we're hoping that the Scepters finally get themselves into the Walter Cup final and, exact some revenge against Minnesota. We're also excited to see Seattle and Vancouver for the first time. So, a lot of great stuff there. All right, Troy. Thank you very much for coming through tonight.
No
Avery will be
problem.
back next week, as will Marcia and myself. We'll also be coming back next week. If you would like to just, throw us some questions on the Twitter or on Instagram, like DM us or shoot us a message. Of course, thanks to Elon, you have to put a pin in just to answer DMs, and we're not doing that, so it is what it is. But other than that, follow us on the socials, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube as well. We would love the support any which way, shape, or form. Even if please don't drop a hard R in the comments. We will come find you. But other than that, thank you for
No,
letting
I'll
us
do that.
between your head top, and thank you for allowing us into your lives just by looking at our faces. We will be back next week, but until next time, drink your water, mind your business, and
Your business.